Our defense minister Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer also has a sideline job as the leader of her party, the CDU, which is also Angela Merkel's party. You probably wonder, wait a second, isn't Angela Merkel the leader of the CDU anyway? And the answer is yes and no. It's similar to to Russia, where you actually know the strongman is Vladimir Putin, but they also have some kind of a prime minister, a Kremlin leader, formally, who is somebody else. I have even forgotten who is it now. I think Medvedev, or whatever his name was. Used to be in that position for some time, and now it's probably somebody else. Whoever it is, we all know it's Vladimir Putin who is actually in control. And there is a similar situation in Turkey, or used to be in Turkey until fairly recently, when Erdogan just had a lesser constitutional position, but was actually in control of the power. And we have a similar situation here, as you could see last week when Angela Merkel just revoked the election of a prime minister in one of our states, the state of Thuringen. He was even of a different party, and still her ties, her networks are so strong that she could make that decision all on her own. Now, Annegret Kramp-Karrenberger came into that position when Angela Merkel announced to step down from politics in 2018. And since then, she said, I stepped down and I will also stay in office for many, many years to come. She had this puppet, Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer, in her place. And she's now stepping down. Now it's interesting to see who is following her in her footsteps. It's probably another stooge of Mrs. Merkel's, but it's also possible that she's just taking control again officially. Now the official explanation is, of course, that the Prime Minister of Thuringen had to go, and the situation was so complicated for the CDU that Ms. Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer was over-challenged by it. Now, what was the difficult situation? The Prime Minister had been elected by MPs of the party AfD. He himself is of the party FDP, which used to be a party that had a lot of offices also on the federal level in the past, and is usually seen as a benevolent, okayish party by the mainstream media. By now, they are basically a proxy of Angela Merkel's anyway. They are not really a separate party anymore. And they had taken, or they had accepted that vote for the prime ministership, and therefore there was this entire storm of outrage, and people apologized for daring to congratulate even the prime minister then. This is, I think, the most spooky part of the recent developments of the past years, that we see a lot of Stalinist confessions in the public, and in events like this, they amount to an enormous level of absurdity. People who have just said something retract that because the outrage is too strong, and then they say the complete opposite, and they apologize. How dare they say something that is that was okay a week ago? I also notice that this is going beyond normal politics. We have a showmaster, a TV host called Barbara Schöneberger, who recently apologized for finding men who do not use makeup more attractive than men who do. You know, personal taste. That must be in line with the only true religion, the Korean Khmer religion. And if you dare to find one sort of people more attractive than others, that's of course heresy. So the real difficulty with the CDU is that they had made a resolution some months ago that they would not cooperate with the AfD in any fashion whatsoever. This is called a resolution of incompatibility. And it effectively means non-cooperation. The German word is Unvereinbarkeitsbeschluss. And this means that they cannot form any coalition with the AfD, but at the same time they also resolved that they will not work together with the SED, the party that ran the East German dictatorship. This seems not to be a big issue in America. I mean, there is partisanship and so forth, but you would never go as far as to denounce somebody for daring to vote with the members of the other party. You would always at least formally argue that the decision is wrong of that particular person. You would never say that he must never ever vote with the other people. But this is how we had treated politics for a substantial time now. And also this has been going on the other way around, of course, because the SED is responsible for imprisoning a lot of innocent people, for spying on people, for restricting freedoms and so forth. And this party had, of course, then been shunned as strongly as possible, and there were also the same mechanisms in play in the past. And one fairly recent example was when the party of the Social Democrats, which is currently our current president's party, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, party, and also the party of our foreign minister Heiko Maas. That party had a prime minister candidate for the state of Hesse. That was Andrea Ypsilanti, and in 2008, in March 2008, she could not form a government because they had already resolved not to work with the communists who ran that dictatorship. So they could not even, work on a topic related basis, on a project basis with these people. They said because these people are in the same group as the old Stasi spies and so forth, they would not cooperate. And this has now also been enacted against the AfD. The MPs who do not belong to either party have effectively no way out, and it's likely that the parliament has to be resolved and to be re-elected soon. The other issue with these resolutions of non-cooperation or incompatibility is that they are obviously a sign of a cartel, a party cartel. They all agree not to work together with these or that people, and ultimately that means that all the other groups have to work together, and no matter what you vote as the voter, you will get in the end the Green Party politics, you will get the FDP party politics and so forth that you have not voted for, because they have to ultimately work together. Or work together. In effect, there is no FDP politics anyway, or no CDU politics. It's all Green Party stuff. It either comes in slow or in fast, but you get always the same medicine no matter what you vote. This is the result, and it had been denied a long time, but now that all these resolutions of non-cooperation play out the way they do, it becomes blatantly apparent that we have a monolithic political class that is replacing prime ministers even of fringe cartel member classes from top down, Another absurd fallout from these resolutions of non-compatibility was that Angela Merkel had effectively revoked the election of a prime minister forgoing the idea of federalism in the name of democracy when she was in Africa. More specifically, she was in South Africa, where she said, literally, communists under the condition of freedom are not the communists how they used to be. Yes, those are Angela Merkel's words, but don't worry. CNN, BBC, all these news agencies and so forth, they will still call her a conservative, and Barack Obama will still call her the leader of the free world, even though she openly embraces communism. And there she was in South Africa, that's currently accused of ignoring the farm murders against the white population there, and has seen an enormous increase in poverty under this very socialist leadership of the ANC. And soon after she said that the Prime Minister of Thuringen has to go, she moved on to Angola, where she met the president, or the dictator there, also a socialist, who is currently involved in a purge against his own party members, under the pretext of supposed anti-corruption charges. And I mean, of course, they are all truthful, but I mean, if there's no equality before the law and everybody is a bit in, you always find that everybody's breaking the law, and then the purges are just targeted on individuals for a completely different set of reasons. But officially, it's all just against corruption. So the president she met was involved in the current purge against his opposition, and in the inner party opposition, a party that had been in charge for decades now, and there she is working on a stronger military and business cooperation, and is possibly up to selling naval ships to that dictatorship. That's where she, announced solemnly how she is the protector of democracy, and that a freely elected prime minister has to step down. Anyway, I promise I will continue with my series soon, and I'll see you soon. Bye.